Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Rodney, and I'm back. And I wanted to go ahead and talk about Royce Reed. Um, she did an interview with Carlos King. Honestly, uh, it was a cute interview. I'm going to be honest; it's nothing to like run down to YouTube to see. I was gonna just wait until part two came out and just did um, just combined part one and part two together. But because I just finished watching it and it's fresh on my mind, I decided to go ahead and just knock out this part of the part one. Um, I don't know a lot about Royce. I remember I started watching Basketball Wives because I heard about some woman named Tammy. I used to watch The Real World, and I loved Tammy when she was on The Real World. And I heard about some woman named Tammy on Basketball Wives. I was like, who? I heard the girls were cutting up, acting the fool over there, and so I had like tuned in one day, and I was like, oh my god, that's her from The Real World. Um, I don't really recall Royce, even though I remember watching the reunion. I don't. I still don't. Even I don't. I just don't recall Royce. Um, But I do remember hearing people talk about Royce on the internet, um, even as of recent. And she, based off the comments, like she was a fan favorite. Um, so yeah, she's doing an interview with Carlos King, and I think now she has a chance to speak. I don't know if Royce has done any interviews prior to Carlos King. But nonetheless, let's just go ahead and get into this mess. Some of this is going to be triggering. Okay, I'll let you know once we get to a certain part of the interview. Um, Royce was born and raised in Orlando, Florida. She said that she was basically always in entertainment. Whether it was gymnastics, acting. I also think she was in modeling. Um, Yeah, gymnastics. I think she said gymnastics, dancing, modeling, also acting. She couldn't date until after she wasn't allowed to have a boyfriend. So she didn't get into her first relationship until she went to college. So this is the part where it's triggering. So just a FYI. Um, she was violated, the R word, um, freshman year in college. She was a virgin when it happened. Um, I'm assuming due to her trauma, when it came down to her being sexual in the future, she felt like her job was just to kind of please the man. Like her job was to make sure the man was happy. That's sad. I hope Carlos didn't go into the details. I hope she um, received some therapy um, for what happened to her. She says basically she really didn't know how to have sex, um, or how to enjoy it, because again, she just kind of felt that she was there um, to just kind of make sure the man was happy at the end of the day. She said she got her first orgasm due to girl. She said playing with herself. That's what she said. I know that's right. And she said after she got her first orgasm, she said she was in her 30s. And she said once she, did it herself, She was like, well, shit, I don't need these niggas. Girl, what they good for? Hello? So she said that she was pretty much okay with just satisfying herself. And then she said her first time having an orgasm, I'm assuming with a man, she said was a few years ago. Royce is 43. So that means that that means a few, when people say few, I say three. I guess a few could be three, four. But either Royce was either 40, or like late 30s when she got her first orgasm with a man. Isn't that crazy? That's not crazy. That's what I be telling y'all, girl. Girl, these men out here, girl, it's too many women out here in these streets talking about they didn't get their first orgasm until they were 45 and 40 and 50, girl, and 37 and 36. And girl, these men be out here in these streets really thinking, girl, they doing something. Girl, girl, they doing exactly what they told y'all they was gonna do. Beat the put the up. Okay. She said the last guy who she dated, basically was a great lover. She said he learned her body. And I think that was the first time she felt kind of like, in the bedroom, she felt taken care of. So shout out to him. Okay. Shawnee. She knew Shawnee before Basketball Wives because she used to be Royce was a dancer. And Shawnee knew her because she was a dancer. And Shawnee knew that Royce didn't fool around with none of the basketball players, like the husbands. And so she came to Royce and was basically like, there's a show that she wanted Royce to be a part of. And she said it was going to be about relationships, like basketball players. They would also show her and her dancing career, right? So Royce thought that it was going to be, I guess, some of what she said, but also kind of like, okay, this is going to be about, you know, careers and people trying to move, and do their big thing, right? Um, Royce, it sounds like to me that Royce is the Shawnee O'Neal. Royce said that she was in every meeting. She pitched the show. She was with the guy, I guess, co-creator, the guy who created the show, Tom Hoffman. I forgot. She said his name, but she said it was her, him, and it was somebody else. But she said she was there from the get go, and she said that Shawnee would call in sometimes. They would talk to her on the phone, but she said Shawnee didn't have anything to do with the show being picked up. She said she knew everything. Now, this is where she messed up at. She didn't know. And of course, they wasn't going to tell her. She didn't know about, asking for like an executive producer credit, right? Being paid. Um, she said there were 8 networks that were looking at the show. One of them was, excuse me. Oh, excuse me, y'all. Sorry. One of them was the CW. CW. Remember back in the day, it was it what was it what was it WB? I think it was WB, and then it changed over to like the CW. No, UPN. I think it was UPN, and then it changed over to CW. Anyways, but I think at the time, I don't know if that was a reason why, but at the time, remember, America's Next Top Model used to come on that network too. Um, she talked about how Shaq tried to talk to her. I'm gonna go ahead and say something. Shaq is weird to me. Shaq is weird to me for the simple fact, not even nothing to do with Royce. Like even when he does interviews, and it's kind of like, oh, okay, I get it. It's cute. You want to make sure that you know, protect the women that you've wronged in your past. I get it, right? But even when he goes around still calling Shawnee his wife, Shawnee is not your wife. Shawnee is down here pretending to be a first lady. Shawnee married to a whole nother man, and you on the internet talking about that's my wife. That's gonna forever be my wife. No, it's not. I'm gonna tell you what really made me think that Shaq was a weirdo was when that girl that went viral that works at home. She worked at Home Depot. She's young. I remember looking at her YouTube page. I think the girl's like 20 years old. She's young. I don't think she's legal. And if she is, she might be pushed. She might just hit 21. She might be 21, but I think she said she was like 20, 19. She's young. And remember he made that parody where he went down to Home Depot after, her picture, I think after her picture was all over the internet and basically people were saying she was too pretty to work at Home Depot. He made that like video, that parody of him being at Home Depot. And then he like went into her DMs telling her to keep her head up or something like that on some slick shit. And I was like, ugh, he's weird. Y'all was not y'all. And people were online talking about how she messed up. She shouldn't have told people. She shouldn't have leaked the tweets. I mean, she shouldn't have leaked the DMs because she told us about the DMs. Anyways, Roy said Shaq tried to talk to her and got upset because she wouldn't talk to him. Shaq was online the other day talking about, I guess somebody needs some money. Shaq, you how I know you tried to talk to her? Because she said that you tried to talk to her, I think while you were still married to Shawnee, and your response to her saying that you tried to talk to her is I guess she needs some money. Not oh she lying, not oh girl, what are you talking about? But we know Shaq, you wasn't about shit anyways back in the day. She said that she wanted to show Shawnee some messages, the messages that Shaq sent her prior to them filming, just in case if it came up, Shawnee would know, right? I do remember Miss Thing dancing, right? And then them hyping her up low key, and then then afterwards they judged her for dancing at like it was a pool party, and they felt like she had embarrassed them. Now, mind you, this is coming from the group of heifers who run across tables later on, right? Run across tables, throw bottles, fight, right? The girl Royce up there dancing by herself. Girl, that's embarrassing to y'all. Um, she said that she went into the experience with Basketball Wives wanting to be like the fun girl, like the fun, kind of giggly girl. I like to have fun. I like to have a good time. She said, but she realized that after season one, that girl, that's not who they wanted. And so she was like, once she realized that basically they were not her friends and they were trying to play her, she was like, okay, I'm gonna give y'all basically I'm gonna be a bitch. Guys, I know that's right. I tried to be nice, but that's not who y'all want. Y'all want me to act a fool. Y'all want me to act a fool. And so she said she came back and she was like, okay, girl. She said she doesn't talk to Susie. She don't know what Susie doing. I do remember Susie. Susie got her ass beat one time. I forgot who beat her ass, but Susie got her ass beat. I remember. She really don't keep in contact with Evelyn. She said when she got into that fight with Evelyn threw that glass. She felt like the whole thing was set up. She said because basically when she said it, I was like, "Well, girl, that makes sense." Basically, like, girl, the security swooped in too fast. Like Y'all had like her thing is, especially now on like Love and Hip Hop, security gonna be there, so you know you're not getting no lick in, right? But back then, her whole I felt like she was saying back then, like they wasn't swooping in that fast. So when Evelyn threw the glass, girl, by the time I got ready to tap her, they had already picked me up and carried me out the building. You know, she said that she always grew up with a neck, nose, side of head. Girl, was I said, I ain't never heard no shit like this a day in my life. She basically said that she was always taught that you hit someone in the neck, they're gonna do like this, right? Because they're trying to catch their breath. Then when they're trying to catch their breath, you punch them in the nose. When you punch them in the nose, their eyes are gonna water. Then they can't see. And then you punch them in the side of the head, then they fall out. So one time she was dead ass serious. She basically said that she was like, girl, who like to fight? Nobody likes to fight. She was like, I don't like to fight. I will fight, but I don't like to fight. So my whole thing is, if we fight, let's go ahead and just get it over as fast as we can. Girl, I'm not trying to fight you all day. I think I know that's right. Girl, I'm not supposed to be getting hit in the head all day. So my whole thing is, girl, while I don't want to fight, I don't like to fight, I will fight and I can fight. So if I'm gonna fight you, I'm gonna try to get this out of the way as quickly as possible. So I wasn't mad at her for that. Um, she says that it started to become a little too much for her because she had a studio. She had a dance studio, and she was like, you know, she would have her girls come in and they would take a pledge and talk about their bodies being their temple, and you know, basically respecting one another. And then here she go, she'll leave her studio and go shoot a show, and girl, they over there calling each other bitches and hoes and sluts and fighting and throwing glass, and she like, well, kind of like, girl, this is too much. I can't be on TV doing this and then girl going back to my girls telling them this, right? And then she said she kind of was over it. She said she got offered, she wanted to get back into acting, and she was offered a part, excuse me, in a Broadway play. And she went to the people and not Shawnee. She said she felt like she didn't owe Shawnee nothing. At that point, her and Shawnee were not friends. She said she found out real fast that Shawnee was nobody's friend except for Evelyn. She did say, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So basically, she decided to walk away from the show. People thought she got fired. I didn't get fired. She said, I went to them, told them I'm done, and they were like, okay. But she didn't get fired. She said that she would sit down to have a conversation with Shawnee now, but she doesn't really know. I guess she was thinking while she was talking, and she was like, you know, but what would be the purpose? Like, it's been X amount of years. Um, but Carlos was like, maybe to just kind of get some closure and just to let her know how you felt about how she treated you, because Shawnee was her friend, at least she thought. And Shawnee basically kind of threw her under the bus, didn't protect her. Um, she thought that was someone like, I guess, like her big sister. She said it would be times where she would tell Shawnee stuff, and then girl, all of a sudden, girl, it would be brought up on camera. She also felt, I've said this from the get go, ever since I started doing YouTube, that I never liked that Shawnee was a part of the cast, because Shawnee was able to, one, not have to go through the same stuff that the other girls went through. Whether it was being called out of their names or getting popped upside their head. Shawnee never. That never happened to Shawnee. And then they also felt like Shawnee had access to the scenes. So Shawnee would see, she's watching the footage. So she would see what people were saying, right? And so she was also This is a lot from what Royce was saying. She was also part of the reason how stuff would get around. The storylines would happen, right? Because Shawnee's seeing the scene, she's going back and telling so and so, and so now they know. You see, so that they're planning stuff. Um, she's now head coach at HBC at BCU. How she met Dwight, and that's when it went off. But I mean, not went off, but she talked about how she met Dwight. She was at a movie. She was going to watch a movie, The Notebook, with her homegirls, and Dwight popped up. He was a rookie for the Orlando Magic, and long story short, um, she was at the time she had a boyfriend. Her boyfriend thought that she was out cheating on her, cheating on him. She wasn't. She was at the movies with her homegirls. He broke up with her over the phone. I feel like somebody. Did that exist then? I think so, right? Somebody probably saw her talking to Dwight and took a picture and then sent it to then sent it to the boyfriend. And the boyfriend thought that Royce was at the movie theaters with Dwight when she really wasn't. That was her first time meeting him that night. Um, but anyways, they started talking, hanging her. So anyways, the boyfriend broke up with her. She said she was crying at the movies. Dwight was basically checking on her to see how she was doing. She started hanging out with Dwight to make her boyfriend jealous because she thought they were going to get back together, but they never got back together. And so then I guess when she realized that I guess it's a wrap for me and my man, she started talking to Dwight. Her and Dwight started hanging out even more. She said he was nice. At one point, he introduced her. Excuse me. He introduced her as his girlfriend. She eventually got pregnant. She was going to have a heaven baby, but she said that she talked to her father, and her father told her, basically, you're a grown ass woman. You're not 16. You're 26, and basically, you laid down, and basically, you know how to say, you laid down and you laid in the bed. Now you got to fix it, or whatever, however you say it. So she had a baby. She had a son. She said her son and her father are like best friends. She said when she was pregnant, she was not allowed to put Dwight's name on the registry. The baby shower invitations. I think they wanted her to come into the office and take I think, a paternity test. Yeah, she that was a mess. And then that's when it pretty much went off. And then they're going to do part two. I'm assuming probably this week. What's today? Or probably next week. I don't know. When does part two come out? I'll let y'all know. But I mean, it was an all right interview. It wasn't. It really wasn't nothing like I thought it was gonna be. I could have really waited to part two. I feel like that's where the mess really gonna kick in. Part one was really just her talking about basketball wise. Anyways, but girl, I watched it. I reviewed it. I'll be back for part two. All right, bye y'all.